Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season premiere of Your Honor. A great season premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So obviously, I had no idea what to really expect from even this season premiere because I avoided the trailer. I've avoided all promotional stuff for this. So I had no idea what direction this season was going to take because obviously it was originally supposed to be a limited series. I know the series Kavoto that is based on ended up having 2 seasons, but I don't know how similar and how vastly different both shows are from each other in certain regards, story beat wise. So I'm going into the season having no idea where it is. And so starting with Michael in prison, I was like, wait, did he go away for what he actually did? But that in itself ends up being some of the issues that it's like, he's not going away for what he actually did. They're just putting him in prison for tax evasion because Rosie Perez's character, which I saw that she was going to be in this season, which is super dope. I want to say, was she like a district attorney or something like that, I think? Or U.S., I forgot what her position actually is, but she needs Michael's help taking down Jimmy because she's like, forget the terrible stuff he's done. We're talking about taking down an entire organized crime situation. So Nancy being the proponent for justice that she always has been. I mean, that's why she was used in the way she was used last season, because she's all about getting justice. And it's like, right, despite his reasoning for it, Michael is still responsible for a lot of terrible things that he did in an attempt to cover up Adam's crime. And now she's kind of pissed and upset, rightfully so, that is like, right, we're just gonna let him slide on everything he did, but right, he's a tadpole in a larger pool that they're after the great white shark that is Jimmy and his family. So, and I do like the interesting back and forth because obviously we're present day in some moments and then we're like jumping back to that. I wasn't expecting us to pick up immediately where the season 1 finale ended. Obviously Jimmy and Gina taking Fia away, and obviously she's traumatized. They're not as much. I mean, the only downside for it is their daughter's traumatized, but they're the only ones that know that Adam's the one that killed Rocco. And it doesn't seem like they ever end up telling Fia, even after some of the time skip stuff, but because she's still mourning Adam, and I guess they don't want to take that from her because it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, he's already dead. Adam's dead, so it's like, why traumatize her or make it even worse? Especially because, jumping ahead a little bit, we get the reveal at the end. Turns out she was pregnant, so maybe that's why they don't want to do that, because it's like, well, it was solely motherhood for you, so maybe that's extra reason why they didn't want to tell her. But like I said, there's kind of a moot point at this point, because it's like, well, I don't have to worry about her continuing dating her brother's murderer because he's dead now. So Carlos trying to go after Eugene. Eugene's on the run, but he can't turn anywhere because Desire doesn't want anything to do with him, because it's like, cool, you did that without our permission. Jimmy wants blood, but more so than anything, it's Carlo and Gina. And that's another dynamic I love. That was very present last season. Jimmy can be scary. Jimmy can go full gangster when he wants to, but if anyone's more gangster than him, it's his wife. Because Gina and Carlo, because even Fia has that conversation, is like, I know about Mom's family, and Mom and Carlo, they revel in it, but you're different. It's like, how do you handle that? Like, for her, it's like, how do you justify like being a part of this when you're not like that? He has it a little bit. It's something in him, but even last season, he showed the bigger amount of restraint. Gina's the one that was kind of talking in his ear about making certain moves and stuff like that. So she's continuing to there's some parallels you can draw between her and Wendy, but I do love that she's kind of the scarier force. It's not even Jimmy, it's Gina that's kind of the more scary person. Jimmy can be scary when he wants to be, but Gina, but I guess maybe the argument is like, Gina's very clear about what she wants. Jimmy, on the other hand, he acts very reserved, and that's hiding a lot of that darkness that's buried underneath, to the point maybe even Fia can't even see it. So it's hard to really say which one is scarier, because you could make the argument that silent darkness, that silent rage of Jimmy's might even be scarier. But Gina's like, all right, why are you out here, Carlo, beating up on this punching bag when your attempted murderer is still out there? So he goes to Desire's neighborhood trying to find Eugene. But regardless of it, it's like you walking up in our territory asking about, we ain't seen little man. But, oh, who you look? Oh, you must be looking for Kofi. You know, oh yeah, the guy, he was killed by some punk in OPP. And it's like, yo, you try to roll up on us, you got caught. And he's like, if you know what happens if you do something to me, what was it? She said like, if was a fifth, we all be drunk right now or something like that. I love that. I love Big Mo going all gangster on him like that, because it is a thing of you want to act so tough. Because even Lil Mo's like, we knew your stupid Al Capone tell would like try and come here. Like, yeah, you weren't even thinking, like, why would you thought like, oh, I'm gonna roll up in enemy territory. Like, we don't know who you are. You don't act like we gonna let it slide when you just like straight up murdered Kofi when he had nothing to do with your brother's murder. But, you know, that's irrelevant now. All the death and destruction, it's kind of been the entire Baxter family, but, you know, Gina and Carlo have been the driving force. But once again, don't make it seem like Jimmy's hands have been clean of it. So it's like, cool. You came to me, Jimmy, talking about, can I control my man? The same question to you, because if your son's here, I almost have to take that as that's your order, right? So, hey, you get your son back. If I wanted him dead, he'd already be dead. But I'm trying to avoid an all-out war. So you take your son back, get your man in line. I'm going to handle business with little man. And I was curious whether she was actually going to let him go or not. But nah, because the plan was to kill him, but you could tell Little Mo didn't want to. I mean, it's like, yo, this is a kid who lost everything. His brother, his mom, his other siblings. It's like, it's a lot. No one should have to go through that. Little Mo, and I guess that shows that he has that little more of that soft-heartedness. I mean, it could just be like he looks at Eugene as almost like his own little brother. And so it's like, right, you have a chance to get out now. Like, I'm not going to cut your life short when you've already lost everything. His mom's super not happy about that. It's just like, oh, I'm going to handle you later. So it's like, but, I mean, the fact that she wanted that handled, she was going to let that happen. I was, you know, because, yeah, she had a soft spot for Eugene, but it's like, yo, you, like, even if you committed, for one, you took your shot, you missed, cool. The Baxters are after you, now the cops are after you. If you did succeed, what then? You're going to come back here and we were going to protect you? Your problem would have then become my problem, and that in turn would make you my problem. So it's like, yo. So, just trying to be practical about it, you know, from her perspective, so. Jimmy kind of put Gina and Carlo in their place because they're like, oh, you're going to do nothing? He's like, nothing. He's like, the fact of the matter is you guys doing what you're doing. There's no actual plan. He's like, you want to roll up with some men. That's not an idea, Carlo. That's barely an idea. So he's like, patience is not an action, and basically saying that violence is just going to escalate things more and more. It's like, let's wait to see how this plays out. And I'm curious what Jimmy would have done, because I think that's also that play of like, I'm trying to keep both my psychotic son and kind of my wild wife kind of in check. Like, this is one of those situations where you have to be like, yo, both of these people in my family are kind of wilding out. I need to calm them down. Because regardless of it, Desire doesn't want war, and even Jimmy doesn't want the war, because war is bad for business. It's going to get bloody. It's going to ruin everything. It's going to turn New Orleans upside down. So how about we just don't do that? So Jimmy's motivated not to go down that route. Mo is motivated not to go down that route, which she's trying to ease tensions because it's like, right, she was supposed to hand over Eugene to the cops. If Eugene got arrested, well, he was most likely going to get brought to Jimmy. Like, Ray wasn't going to just like take him to jail. But to keep everything on the up and up, they probably would have taken him to jail just for Jimmy to have someone on the inside kill him, most likely. So, but luckily, like I said, Lil Mo had his he got sentimental about Eugene. Is like, yo, go and never come back, little man. I get the feeling like there's no way he's gonna let that go. I mean, he has no ties to New Orleans. Like, obviously, Desire was the closest thing he had, and they're going now. He tried to call Lee when he was in trouble, couldn't get in contact with her. So he has nothing in New Orleans holding him back anymore. But, you know, he still has the burning desire of like, yo, I want Carlo dead. So I could definitely see by the end of the series, like him coming back to New Orleans, sneaking in, surprising Carlo and putting him down this time, you know? I don't know how that's all going to play out. Like, I don't know who's going to end up ultimately surviving this series because like bodies could drop on both sides. Like this could end up escalating to that point. I get the feeling like I feel like it's poetic if Carlo doesn't. It would kind of feel befitting after everything he's kind of done that he kind of gets got, but we'll see. I guess the double irony would be like if he didn't get got at all, if he ended up being the one, especially in his family, to survive. So I don't know if Gina and I hope Thea wouldn't get killed, but I don't know about Jimmy or Gina. That could go either way in that situation. Big Mo and Little Mo, I don't know. I think it's kind of in the same boat that it could kind of go either way. But circling back to Big Mo, she meets with Charlie and Ray, and it's like, right, I don't have that kid, but hey, Charlie, your polls aren't looking too good. People aren't feeling safe, which I guess like his campaign manager or whatever literally echoed that same sentiment of a few scenes earlier, saying like, hey, especially with this most recent crime being in the forefront of people's minds, scared people don't vote for you, Charlie. So it's like, hey, you want these people more on your side? We're going to cool this situation down by, hey, bring you the killer. Might not actually have Eugene, but all you have to do is get somebody that looks like his. And it ain't like it's going to be the first time you guys have ever done this. Luckily, they find someone who resembles Eugene enough. The question then becomes, is Carlo, Gina, or Jimmy going to ask a whole bunch of questions? Because it's like, they heard like, hey, it seems like they ended up putting a bullet in themselves. So, once again, this is that type of show where you think like, all right, that's already taken care of, that's wrapped up. All it takes is someone pulling on that string to be like, yeah, it's not Eugene's body, he's still alive, for the Baxters to get like riled up, being like, yo, Eugene's not dead. Okay, you secretly got him hidden or something like that, especially if Eugene does pop up again, which I still feel like there's a strong possibility he will. Charlie's already had like his connections indirectly to Desire, kind of directly and / indirectly at the same time. He's already had his connection to Desire, but now he's kind of even more embedded with them because of Big Mo. The problem is, though, that's going to be a situation of now Big Mo can kind of come to you for favors, I think, and that's where things are going to get complicated. But I think for Charlie, it's like, yeah, it's for the greater good, because me being in my position, I can do a lot of good for this city. So. But Charlie's situation is also what puts Michael in a complicated situation when Rosie Perez's character rolls up on Michael being like, yo, I want you to help me take down Jimmy. Obviously, he doesn't want that. He just wants to stay in prison. He just wants to die. He's not eating. He just wants to be left alone to wither away. They kind of have to force a tube down his throat. Well, not even through his nose. I didn't know that's how they would have to do that. Because I guess it's like, right, they tried the tube department. I guess it's like, this way it goes directly into him and like he can't throw it up like he could if it went through his mouth. I was like, I don't know. I guess that's the more direct way to kind of get it absorbed quickly into his system, is through his nose and kind of like down his esophagus that way. I don't know. That's pretty wild. Then there's also that prison situation with the bull. I'm like, okay, that's wilding out. Like, how is that a thing? And why is that entertainment? I mean, who knows? You never know because a lot of places can have their own prison rules. I would expect that's not a real thing in the U.S. at all, but you never know, because you'll turn around and be like, wait, that you find out the weirdest things are real. So I don't think that's real, but maybe I could be proven wrong. But I feel like that's unusual punishment, so I doubt that is a real thing. Either way, I don't know. I guess Michael just wanted the pain, because I was about to say, like, what are you planning on doing? Like, what are you getting out of this thing? I think he just wanted more suffering and more pain or whatever. And the guy he's playing against is like, yeah, you know what the ironic thing is? Doesn't matter about what you or me, doesn't matter what we do or say. The bull's the one that gets to determine the winner and the loser. Luckily, that guy won, because he's like, yo, I want this money to, the cash prize I'm getting for this. I'm going to use it to take care of my family while I'm locked up. So Rosie Perez's character looked at it as like Olivia Delmont. She comes to Michael's like, hey, with an offer he can't refuse. So while you were kind of in your state of like, right, being questioned and admitting everything after Adam's death because you weren't in a clear state of mind, you ended up ratting out Charlie's involvement in all of this. So cool, his entire career and life could implode because of you. Michael doesn't care about his life, but at the very least, Charlie shouldn't have to suffer, because the only reason why he's mixed up in this is because he's my brother and I asked him for a favor and he did it without question. And that just led to the shit show that this whole situation has turned out to be. So that's the only reason why Michael accepted Delmont's proposal. Then you also have the element of Thea trying to visit him, but he wouldn't take any visits because she's just a reminder of Adam being gone. It's like, right, it was already bad enough when he was, Adam and her were a thing, but then it's the situation of, well, she's like, did Adam love me? He's like, I don't know. That's many things we didn't actually get to talk about before the end. But he's like, right, if Adam told you he loved you, then that's what he meant, because he was a terrible liar. He just didn't have it in him, which I guess is supposed to be the poetic irony, considering Michael ended up being quite the grifter last season, lying to everyone, manipulating everyone the way he did, right? So, but Thea had been writing him letters, and I guess in the end, this kind of gives Michael the motivation. Like, if he finds out about Thea having a kid, it will kind of like, because obviously he has nothing left. Like, his wife's gone, his son's gone, which that's a mystery that was kind of, I guess that's never going to get resolved. Because I was wondering in the future, like the way they were setting that up, like, oh, like that there might be more to his wife's situation, Adam's mom's circumstances. But it's like, yeah, now he lost his wife all those years ago. All he had was Adam. And now Thea's baby, it's like still having Adam around. So he has something to live for at the very least. I'm curious to see what ends up happening, considering, like, well, you're going to take down the Baxter family. I don't know if that would involve taking down Thea, and especially if you find out she has your grandchild, how that's all going to play out, how is this all just going to play out in general? Because, like, Delmont, like, what's her play to get Jimmy and Michael back in? Because that was her whole point about burying his confession. It's like, right, we can arrest Michael for tax evasion, whatever, very Al Capone style, but as long as that confession is buried, I don't care, because I need Jimmy not to think or believe Michael to be a snitch. So they can be, I mean, I guess the argument could be, well, Jimmy had nothing to do with your son getting killed. That was all Eugene. It's like, well, directly, because it's like, well, if he hadn't popped off and done what he did, like, none of that would have transpired the way it did. So I guess that's maybe why Michael's like, I have nothing left. I'm a judge, well, a very disgraced judge. I can help you out. I'm curious to see what any interactions with Nancy are going to look like going forward. Or will she avoid Michael like the plague, or what's going to happen? I'm sure Gina and, because I was about to say Hope, because I was about to, that actress who plays Gina is Hope Davis. So I was about to literally, it's so funny when I end up doing that. I'm about to say an actor's real name rather than the character to play. Gina and Carla will probably have reservations about Michael. I'm sure Jimmy would too. But it's like, yeah, we kind of been through some stuff together. But that was back when I thought you were responsible for killing my other son. But like I said, I have no idea what to fully expect from this season, and I kind of don't want to. Like, don't even tell me anything that happened in the trailer. I'm taking this in stride, episode by episode, because I'm excited to see how this plays out and ultimately how this all comes to an end. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.